The ship called the Knight's Dagger leaves the harbour of El Turel and sets sail down the river Chionthar towards Baldur's Gate. It doesn't take long for some of the passengers to feel the effects of the ship. Its long yet narrow hull rocks from side to side, causing Gunny to empty his guts on the deck. Another casualty is Ava, whose nausea begins to take its toll as she heads below deck to rest. The first night is uneventful, as the calming waves of the river ebb over the ship. The party wakes up the next morn fighting fit. It seems the stomachs of Gunny and Ava have gotten used to the rocking and is now settled down. Ava approaches the first mate, called Al. He is commanding the ship while the captain sleeps off a hangover. Al is steering the ship when Ava approaches him, asking him all sorts of questions about sailing, which Al is only too happy to tell him about the ship's inner workings, including their maintenance. Al looks at the horizon. He exclaims. "It looks like a storm is approaching. This will be a messy one, it seems." As the morning crept into midday, the skies began to darken. It felt like dusk when the first mate, explaining the sail system to Ava, saw something deep in the waters. Ava's elven eyes scanned for the disturbance and quickly spotted a whirlpool to the starboard. Yet this water disturbance was moving alongside to the ship. Ava shouted out to the group on deck to brace themselves. Just as she gave the command, the whirlpool shot out a current of water aimed at the deck of the ship. As it began to manifest itself into a form, its watery complexion reflected the surroundings on its body. And then it struck. It twisted its waterlogged body and thrust its appendages at Vimac, who dodged out of its way. The group shouted for help, and as quick as he could, Alistair charged up on deck and attacked the creature made of water with all his might. Gunny, seeing his chance, climbed as high as he could up to the crow's nest to aim his rifle down at the creature, shot after shot seeming to pass through the creature undisturbed. The rest of the crew fled below deck. But the weapons were hurting the creature as it reeled around and darted up the mast towards the cornered Gunny. Seeing this creature climb quickly, he wrapped himself in a rope and jumped off with a dagger in his hand. But it was for naught. The wetness of the storm had made the plank slippery, as Gunny's attempt to jump off and attack the creature resulted in him falling helplessly towards the mass of water. A second later, the creature engulfed Gunny in its stomach, slowly drowning him in his water. Alistair charged at the mast and began to try to cut it down with his great axe, but it was too quick and charged at Alistair. The two began to exchange blows. Ava, finding a place to hide behind the second mast, began shooting crossbow bolts at the creature. As it let out a wail and collapsed in a mass of water, and sent Gunny flying across the deck, gasping for air, as the creature spilled the contents of its stomach. Helia turned to find a second mass of water begin to form behind them, as the second creature jumped at them, only to be avoided with a quick dodge to the right. Alistair, hurt from the first fight, charged the second creature, quickly followed by Vimac. Both struck the creature over and over. Yet it was Oswald Arrow who destroyed the creature, finally getting from the lower deck to shoot it and destroy it with a single arrow. What was this fuss about, thought Oswald, as he went back below deck. The crew, after a few minutes of silence, emerged from down below. Captain Roberts spoke first. "What the hell was that?" Ava quickly shouted back, "Where was you and the crew when we needed you?" To which the captain replied, "I have been sailing for over 30 years. Before these past 10 years, I was a pirate on the open seas. I have never seen such a creature, yet a day after you come aboard, not one but 2 creatures find this ship and attack. You, my friends, had a bad omen." The skies began to clear, and the sun shone down on the crew. The wounds were taken care of, and the blood and water washed off the deck of the ship. Gunny uses this time to rummage through the lower deck. There are 2 cargo holds here with much cargo it seems bound for Baldur's Gate. Gunny becomes very curious as to its contents, but doesn't want to break the seals of the cargo without knowing what's inside. He approaches one of the crew, a young man called Johnson. Gunny tries to bribe the ship hand for information, asking him to steal the ship's cargo manifest, which sits on the captain's desk. After a bit of negotiating, Johnson requests 60 gold up front and a further 40 upon handing over the papers. Not 20 feet away, a suspicious Vimac corners Johnson after the exchange and inquires to the dealings with Gunny. Johnson, not wanting to let his bargain go to waste, decides to lie. Vimac persuades the young man that there would be double the money involved if he would give up the information, to which Johnson does. Vimac, angered by this, tells the young man to tell the captain of this bribe, and to inform him that the rest of the party has nothing to do with Gunny's dealings. That is on his own head. Vimac pulls Eva aside to tell her of Gunny's scheming. Eva calls Gunny down from one-on-one conversation to the deck below, which Gunny accepts, but decides to run downstairs and hide under the table. Within a few seconds, Eva's elven eyes sees that Gunny's under the table, yet he has given up his weapon. She draws up a chair and begins telling him of his obligations to listen, and leaves it at that. She tells him he has 10 minutes to decide on his fate and to meet him upstairs for his punishment in front of the captain and his crew. He comes up 10 minutes later, and Eva asks him to strip to his waist and to put his back against the mainsail. Gunny, seeing this as an overreaction, flees down below and hides out in the cargo hold. Eva spends the next few hours searching the entire ship for him, but Gunny evades Eva's attempts to find him. Eva does spot Gunny's rifle on the table and takes it to give it to Vimac for safekeeping. During this time, Helia overhears Johnson telling the hungover captain of the plot to steal the manifest, and perhaps the cargo itself. Much laughter can be heard from both of them. "Well, son," says Captain Roberts, "do you want to fuck over your old man and mutiny?" Another roaring laughter echoes through the closed captain's quarters. "Ah, well," says the captain's voice, "at least you made some easy gold." Eva, Helia and Vimac decide to approach the captain and distance themselves from the plot. The captain, bemused by this, says, "Well, I'm ferrying you to Baldur's Gate as a favour to Lord Flume. I am part of the Harpers, and I'm on my own mission to the Moonshare Isles west of Baldur's Gate, and the cargo is part of that mission. If Gunny wants that cargo, he is going to have to fight what's in the crates." Another roar of laughter goes up. Eva apologizes and leaves the captain in peace. She tells Vimac to keep an eye out for Gunny and climbs up to the crow's nest to have a better view of things. A few hours later into the night, Gunny sneaks out on deck and steals back his gun from Vimac's backpack, only to have Eva, who is laying in wait, shoot an arrow into Gunny, which drops him to the floor in a single strike. The group decides enough is enough, and throws Gunny in a makeshift cell in the bow of the ship. Helia, using her magic, forces Gunny to tell the truth for a short time. Gunny reveals he has put a hit on Eva, telling the group that if Eva steps off the ship and he doesn't, to have Eva killed. This causes a great deal of animosity in the group. Alistair decides that Eva should use her skills with her disguise kit to make Gunny look like Eva, and see what happens when they get to the harbour. Other questions are asked, and it is revealed that Gunny was the one who moved the egg from the wagon and hid it before the Harpy attack on the second journey north to Elturel. Also, Gunny reveals he has been planning to coerce Helia into making a love potion for him, so that he can make Eva fall in love. The group decide to keep him in the cell until they dock. An hour before they dock at Baldur's Gate, Eva forces Gunny to change into her clothes and disguises him to look like her. It is the best disguise anyone has ever seen before. For a split second, people believe there are actually two Avas, one slightly taller, but a perfect duplication in every way. The group disembark the vessel, and the captain wishes the group well on their journey, and mutters under his voice, "And I hope to never see us again." The party finds an inn called the Eversong Tavern on the southeastern portion of the lower city. A pretty seedy part of Baldur's Gate, but a nice inn nonetheless. The group decides to take turns watching the southern gate for the Cult of the Dragon. After Vimark's first shift, the group thinks it through again and decides perhaps those involved in the camp are best to spot the cult, since none of the others in the party have witnessed these people before. Gunny sneaks off from the group and tries to find his contact in the city to stop the hit put on Ava, but this night he is unsuccessful. Next time on Idiots Abroad.